Hello again. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to try and fast forward through a lot of this phase where I only took photos before I got back to doing videos again. Because again, I didn't think I was going to use any of this as content. I was just doing it for myself. And I decided at a certain point I was going to start creating some content for like Instagram or whatnot. And I would take some short videos and post them on there. And Instagram never really went anywhere. So I deleted all that and then decided to try YouTube. And I'm getting a little interest from you guys on YouTube, and I appreciate that. What I've decided to do here is I'm going to fast forward with these longer videos because I can talk longer. I'm not restricted to a 60-second video for these shorts. And so some of the aspect ratios of the orientation rather, of the photos might be a little different. So some of them are taking landscape, some are taking portrait, some are taking HDR, which is kind of like, I don't know, maybe a mix of the two. Anyway, getting started here. Okay, at this point, I decided I was going to start collecting some windows. So I would go to Home Depot and see what windows they had on clearance, and I bought up whatever ones I could. I know I wanted a really large window for the back, so when you back in somewhere, you'd have a nice view. I did want to use all sliding windows and not so much the casement ones that go up and down. So the one you see at the top, that's a sliding window. Well, the very first one I bought for that, I didn't realize because they had it put in the slot where it's not supposed to be, and they had it turned sideways, so it looked like a sliding window. So it's almost the same size, or it is the same size as that one that goes in the top right there, where the loft bed is going to be. It was a casement window, which goes up and down. So instead of returning that, because I already had it here, I figured I would go ahead and use it somewhere anyways. And then I went back and bought that sliding window because of the orientation of it. It needed to be a slider because it needed to be longer and not so tall. That's why the one window that you see that's actually going to be the bathroom window, that one is a casement window. Once I put it all together and I stood back and looked at it, I kind of like the way that it breaks up that side. You have the sliding window toward the rear, the casement window in the front. And the different lines there, I think, gives it a little something. I don't know. It's just me. I appreciated the fact that I made that mistake and I ended up keeping it. I started off by figuring out where I wanted the windows, and I wanted them kind of high so that way you don't have to kind of crouch down to look out the window. You could just walk up to it and be staring out of it, no matter if you're 6 foot or 5 foot or whatever. That was the first thing I took into consideration, was making it low enough to miss the soffits on the outside, but yet tall enough on the inside to where, again, you don't have to scrouch out and look. I do own a camper, and the camper's got that problem. So when you go out at any of the windows, you have to bend over slightly to look out the window because they're so low. And I wanted lots of light, lots of airflow. The placement of them, I kind of thought about where I would put everything as far as countertops, kitchen, bathroom. That's how I kind of placed them. I made sure that they were lined up properly on the bottom, the two that were on the same side. I wanted them to be around the same height and around the same size. I got pretty lucky with that. So when I decided to put those in, what I did is I just cut out the squares. So I knew where the top and the bottom were going to be. So I cut the studs out in between them, and then I ran a horizontal stud at the bottom of the window and one at the top. These are new construction windows too, so they have the nailing flange going all the way around them, right? I cut out the top and the bottom flange, and I put the 2x4s from those two vertically to the left and to the right of the window. I didn't bother to put any headers in. One, it adds extra weight. Two, this thing is so narrow. The roof pitch on the one end is so steep, it'll never hold a snow load. And it hasn't in the 2 years it sat out in the snow with 14, 18, 20 inches of snow we've gotten at times. It sits on there for a brief period and it slides right off. There's been no trouble with that at all. I do have a double top plate. Over where the loft area is, I have a triple. Again, I'm not worried about it, and it's only 6.5 feet wide. So that's why I didn't put any headers in there. Yeah, you normally should have headers in. If you built a shed or something where with an asphalt roof. I know that front roof is only it's only a 312 pitch, but I still I don't think I needed it, and it's proven me right because there's no problem with it whatsoever being as short as it is. I did put a double 2x4 above that one window. It does take the weight distribution down to the wall below it just fine. Again, if you're building a garage or you're building a house or an addition or a large shed, I would definitely make sure you put in headers. So moving forward on that now, the way I put them in, I cut the hole out for the window, as you can see here on the right. And then I went ahead and put the T111 siding on over the top. And I went on the inside and I cut that hole out for the window. And then I removed the T111 siding because I just used a half a dozen screws to hold it on temporarily to cut this hole out. I removed it, and then I installed the window on the stud. Then I put the T111 siding back on the studs, sandwiching that flange in between the studs and that T111. Before doing that, I did use quad caulk. I did put it on both sides of the flange, and it pretty much glued that window in place, and it helped secure that T111 siding to it as well. And then the trim that I put around it also got quad caulk behind it, and then to fill in the gap all the way around it before it was painted. So it's really, really sealed. I will always be checking for any cracks in any of the caulking to make sure that water doesn't get back there because that's not exactly how you'd install it. Normally, you'd put the OSB on, and then you'd put the Tyvek wrap around the entire thing, and then you would put the windows on top of the Tyvek after you cut the Tyvek in, and you kind of fold it into the hole where the window would go. And you put the window in there with the flange, and you'd screw through the Tyvek, and then you take the Tyvek tape and go all the way around that flange and seal that in that way. This isn't going to be a four-season thing anyways. It's only going to be 3, so I didn't worry about the Tyvek. It's not going to be blistering cold outside and heated really warm inside to create that problem. Lots of airflow and ventilation. And again, it's a short-term camping structure anyway. So that's another reason why I didn't do that. Now you also notice that in some of these photos here that I did have when I put it away for that season and wrapped it in plastic, I started putting OSB up. Well, I did it in a big hurry because it started raining on me. I didn't do a very good cut around the fenders. And I decided I wasn't going to go that route because it was just going to add more weight. And I didn't know what kind of a siding I would have put down over the top of the OSB. So if I just used the OSB, the half-inch OSB T111 siding on a vertical, that would be the only sheeting I would have to use. And this way I wouldn't have to use 2. So it's a cost saving, it's a weight saving. That's just the way I felt like going with it. Once I got all the windows in, the one side here has plastic on it still, which is the side where the door is going to be. Now, I didn't put that T111 on that side yet because I didn't know where I was going to put the door. I thought the door was going to be in the front by the tongue, and the bathroom was going to be in the back. I didn't know where the door was going to be, so I figured if I put the door in the front, that would be nice to have it in the front, and you come in under the bathroom. But then the door would swing in. There would have to be a hallway there between the door and the bathroom for the door to swing into because I didn't want it swinging outward. I don't like the look of that from the outside. I wanted it swinging in. So I decided I was going to move the door from the front where I originally had it planned to move it to the back of that side. So you can see here I framed it in on the back side, and then I was able to install the final window on that side, which was going to be the kitchen window, and then put the door in the back. And then finally, you can see that I found an old door at an antique store here locally, and it was in rough shape. They were using it to hang knickknacks off of that hung by strings. And I asked him, I said, how much is that door you have back there? It had 2 broken windows, 1 missing window, and then it had all these holes and slots and everything for all the knobs and the latch, the old-fashioned mortise-in latch that slid into the door with the old skeleton key. I just liked the way that door looked. You can't buy them new like that, where those 6 windows are as low as they are on the door. I just thought that was sharp. So I got it for $20. The glass itself that I ordered from a glass company, it is tempered rain glass, and that cost me 120 for that. But I still putting that together with the purchase price of the door, I'm still less than what a crappy looking door would have cost me. So I still find myself being way ahead. Plus, I have something that I like the style of much, much better. So that's the door that's in there. And then you can see in the final photos here how I wrapped all the windows in the trim, like I talked about. Soffits put on, and all of the roof trim put on all the way around. And then the little bottom portion of that roof will be painted green to match the rest of the green to finish that off. The soffits will be white, the trim will be white, and then the siding itself will all be yellow. I decided to go with yellow. And then the fenders will be the same green as the roof. So I'm going to buy some paint for that. And then the tongue will also be that same dark green, forest green that the roof and whatnot is. Yeah, that brings us up to that point. My next video is going to be how I fixed that door, how I filled in those doorknob holes and got it ready for a new digital lock that I had purchased for it by Schlage. So you just enter a code to get in. You don't have to use a key, which will be important when people are renting it, that they'll be able to just punch a code. They won't get locked out by forgetting their key inside. Um, yeah, stay tuned. I'll post that one next. And then after that, I'll post one more video of the painting of the outside and a little bit more of the interior in the next video after the door one, and then I will be caught up with where I'm at or where I was currently when I started taking videos again. So then it'll get more interesting. So thanks for watching and sticking with me here. I will say too that the back side there, it got a wasp nest up in it under that plastic sitting there because I didn't get out there until late spring, and those suckers move fast, man. They were bald face hornets actually. I just got near the tiny house and they started coming at me, and I had to run across the lawn to escape them. And I did not get tagged, but I did call a company out, and this lady came out and she sprayed just one little squirt of stuff up in that plastic, and the entire nest, which was the size of, I'd have to say, a very, very large watermelon, was up in there. That's how big they got that thing in just the like 3 weeks of springtime. So I was able to pull all that down. I threw it on the ground, and then the possum that lives in my chimney of my barn, he came out and he ate that whole nest that night and all those dead bees. I don't know how good it was for him with the poison on him. I hope he didn't croak off, but um, anyways, I did hear him in there like a month later, so I think he's fine. I think they're pretty resilient animals there. I like having them around. I appreciate him living in my chimney. I leave him be, and he gives me a nice benefit in return. So, again, thanks for watching. Hope this wasn't too long-winded. I know it's just boring pictures to look at, but again, I got better content coming, and it gets real exciting as it goes along because it's really coming out nice for somebody that's done this for the first time. Again, I'm just a regular guy. I do have some experience in building. That's why I did say in the very beginning of this video that I know that I didn't put headers in, and I know that the Tyvek wrap wasn't put on. I know this and I know that, and it's a choice I'm making as I'm going forward with this. And if I have any issues with it, then that's my own fault. I'm really excited to see this thing get finished. So, and the interior at this point right now, I am halfway done with the interior, maybe 3/4 of the way done. It's going to look really nice. So I hope you stick with me and tell your friends and whatnot about this if they're interested in this kind of thing. And if you like and comment, on these videos. It helps me get a little bit further along in the algorithm, and I would appreciate that too. So again, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy. And we'll see you in a few days when I get this next video put together.